at what is research design. The purpose of a research design, we're going to look at characteristics, components, and then types of research design. Again, for the types, we are just going to go very generally and briefly. Again, with my colleagues in the future and with Shaymat today, you are going to see them much more in, specific, maybe also in context. Right, so what is research design? Something that I like to personally do, which is link research design with Bloom's taxonomy. Again, for those of you who are familiar with language teaching or with teaching in general, they know that Bloom's taxonomy is used in classrooms in order to connect with lower thinking and the higher thinking of students in their learning journey or in their acquiring a certain language journey. Then again, this is something that is, I see that is very much connected to research design as well, or the objective of a research design is to connect with the lower level thinking that we have about a certain issue and go into the higher level of thinking, going from not knowing anything about a certain topic, for example, into knowing the major components about it. It's going from remembering is whatever background knowledge you have about the topic, understanding the topic, implementing a certain research, maybe analysis or strategy to acquire data or information. Then again, you analyze, evaluate, and by the end, you create whether the research problem or maybe you create certain findings. Again, this is a very flexible, idea or taxonomy that you could use in your life in general, not just in research. Then again, there are major key elements of research design. A good research design includes all of these, or maybe some of these elements. We have the purpose statements, the techniques, how are you going to conduct the research, the methodology, the methods you're following, objections, any problems you might face during the research, the settings, the timeline, the measurements, how are you going to measure the success of your research, and then the analysis method, how are you going to maybe analyze the data or the information, whatever you collect throughout the research process. Right. Then again, professionals define research design as a master plan. For example, William Zickman defined it as a master plan. Again, you cannot go on about anything in life in general if you do not have a master plan. We have a master plan for our work life, our careers, our personal lives, and research is just the same. If you do not have a master plan and a clear path of what you want to do with your research, it is not going to work. Okay, so there has to be a clear path, a clear plan that you are going to follow, a step-by-step of everything that you aspire to discover throughout the research process or the research years. For instance, we're spending here doing our doctoral studies. Okay, what are the objectives of a research design? Why do we need to use research design? Again, it's to minimize expenditure, right? Reliability of the result relies a lot on how solid the base that you are having throughout the whole research. If the master plan is not well structured, if it's not well planned, if it's not effective, the entire research might not be reliable. Actually, will not be reliable, not might not. It's not going to be reliable without a good plan and a good and effective implementation of that plan. So the research design really is the backbone of research in a certain way. Again, it helps with maximizing information, minimal expenditure, etc. Collecting relevant data, using the optimal techniques. Another something that I like to relate this to, or research design to, is optimality theory. Optimality theory is used in sociolinguistics or in linguistics in general, but again, it is something that you can use in your life, not just in linguistics or in sociolinguistics. And it's also something that you could use in research. Optimality theory has a very simple logic. It's about putting all of the options in front of you and then choosing the most optimal option, not choosing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 options, not choosing multiple options, but choosing only one optimal technique, one optimal option that's going to help you do your research in the best way possible. PhD research is only 3 years. So it's very hard to follow different paths when you are working in a very short period of time. Maybe if we talk about 10-year research, a 20-year research, that's maybe a different story. You could choose different paths. But when we talk about a limited time frame, and then again, maybe limited resources, taking into consideration everything that has to do with the environment of where you are doing the research, it has to be very, very optimal, and you need to be very realistic about your objectives, about what you want to do, and about the plan. It has to be singular or linear in a certain way, and not, you should not go ahead and choose multiple options. Maybe it could work if you have the ability to do that, but I do believe that it has to be as optimal as possible throughout the research process, in the doctoral studies, for example. Then again, a research plan or research design, provides the blueprints that you need. Again, provides the master plan. We go ahead and we go back to what Zuckman said. It also helps with knowing what the experts say. This is something that we do in the literature review as well. Provides a direction, a road, a mind map, a map to where you want to go, where you are and where you want to go, etc. Then again, what are the characteristics of a research design? Then again, in a more general aspect, research design minimizes bias and maximizes the reliability of the data collected and analyzed. Because you are following a plan, because you are doing it objectively, there is too little room for subjectivity when you are following a master plan in your research, when you are following a research design. Because you are not just, out of nowhere coming up with another plan, or out of nowhere coming up with a different question, with a different research problem, or with a different reading or whatever. You are, it's over, it's done. You made the plan, you made the research problem, you made everything that you need so that to continue with your research. Whatever happens throughout the process now, whatever comes to the research is not going to be subjectively analyzed. You're going to follow the plan that you have made in the beginning. Right. Then again, research design helps with achieving objectivity of the research, reliability of the research. Are the results going to be reliable by the end? That's a big question. Validity of the research, again, is concerned with how you do your research. Again, as I said before, you should not look at different perspectives. You should just look at one single perspective and try to delimit your research, or limit your research, Then again, this is an example that I pretty much appreciate, is the one related to IQ tests, intelligence measurement tests. These tests are conducted and they measure your mathematical reasoning, logical reasoning, and everything that has to do with your brain's ability to reason something, whether mathematically or logically. It is not related to how you handle your life, your emotional intelligence. It's not related to this, it's not related to that. It's very, very, very specific. And that's what makes it reliable and valid to many people, or to billions of people around the world. The only thing that makes IQ tests very reliable is the fact that they are very much focused and limited to certain skills humans have or acquired before. So it is not something general, it's something very, very specific. And this is a major key in research. Then again, one of our objectives when we do the research is to have it be generalizable, and to draw conclusions from that could be applicable to a large group of people or a large place. Again, generalizability is a big question and a big objective. It's a tough one. All right, research design is one which is methodologically prepared and should ensure that generalization is possible. To ensure generalization, we should confirm that our research problem has the following characteristics, or at least some of these characteristics. First, the problem has to be clearly formulated and clearly stated. What is your problem in the research? The population is clearly defined. Who is your targeted group of people that you want to analyze or that you would like to acquire data and information and insights from? The third thing, most appropriate technique of sample, again, the sampling method. How are you going to sample this population? Is the form of sampling appropriate or not? Again, using statistical analysis or analyzing those results, how are you going to do that? How are you going to carry out the analysis phase? The findings of the study, are they capable of being generalizable or not? Again, you ask yourself a group of questions throughout the process of the research design or the research in general. Components of research design. Research design has a statement of research objectives. This is what I want to do. This is why I'm doing my research. This is why I'm conducting the research project. Then again, what are the type of data needed? So you clearly answer this question during the research design phase. Definition of the population, sampling procedure, time, costs, and responsibility specification. For those who are, we are talking about PhD, for those who are working and doing their doctoral studies at the same time, they have a really big task. How are you going to manage your time and your costs and the responsibilities, the other responsibilities that you have while doing research? It is a big question. But again, this is not what this section is about. Time, costs, and responsibility specifications are about where you are at and where you are conducting your research. How are you going to manage the time given so that you could do the certain piece of research? What are the costs that might arise in that certain environment? And then again, what responsibility do you have during that phase of research? Then again, the methods and ways, procedures you are following to collect the data. The data analysis, what are the tools, what are the methods, what are the approaches that you're going to use to analyze the data that you have, and what is the probable output or research outcomes and possible actions to be taken based on those outcomes. Again, as you can see, research design is very generalistic. It is, again, a master plan, as Zekman said. It is the master plan, it is the backbone of your research. Right now, I'm just going to go briefly through some of the types of research design. I'm not going to go in depth. Exploratory research design. This design is followed to discover ideas and insights to generate possible explanations. We have descriptive research design, which is used to describe certain phenomena or certain problems and what kind of solutions we could offer or implement. Then again, causal or experimental research design. Again, this is based on cause and effect relationships in a certain environment concerning a certain problem, and it is typically conducted through the forms of doing experiments in social studies, for example. Then again, non-experimental research. This is going to be covered by my colleague, Mrs. Shema. Non-experimental research is usually descriptive or correlational, which means that you are either describing a situation or phenomena simply as it stands out or as it stands. We will see this in detail in a minute with Shema. Okay, just a quick conclusion. The most important requirement of a good research design is that it should provide adequate information, adequate data, so that the research problem can be analyzed on a wide perspective and in a controlled environment. Research design is going to help you know better about what you are going to do and how you are going to conduct your research. Again, there is a very simple logic behind research design, which is, again, similar to Bloom's taxonomy. It's going from lower order thinking to higher order thinking in order to conduct your research in a much more controlled environment. Yeah, so I'll keep it very brief. Thank you very much. That was it.
Merci, Aïcha.
Merci à vous.
Pour votre intervention combien intéressante. Dans votre